Not every season starts off the same behind the boat. Some seasons you forget how many sets you've gotten in before the end of spring, and others you get a late start. This season for me got off to a different start since I decided to kick it off with a kiteboarding session, something I hadn't done in quite a long time. While being behind the boat is always going to be one of my first loves, getting out on the kite and disappearing out onto the water with just the wind and your board, there's really nothing like it. So after loading up all the gear and a GoPro on the fritz and all essential personnel, the wife and I headed out into the rain to drive down to Corpus Christi. A couple hours later, we arrived in North Beach
Silka!
to meet up with our friends Silka and Richard, who I hadn't seen in forever.
It's been like 15 years!
We all used to kiteboard together around Central Texas back in the early 2000s, but as time marched on, we went our separate ways to chase down different aspects of life.
Good to see you, brother. You too, man.
After catching up for a few minutes, it was time to get the gear out and get the kites in the air. My friend Jacob had recently been bitten by the kiteboarding bug, so we got his kite in the air first. It had been 3 years since I'd been on my kite, so I was excited to get on the water. After remembering how to put on my boots, it was time to get off the beach. In kiteboarding, the gear you choose can make or break a session. On this day, I had chosen a board that cuts through the water instead of over it, so I spent the vast majority of the session with having water splashed up in my face and not seeing where I was going, especially kind of situations like this. Eventually started to get more comfortable on the board and started boosting a few little airs. However, soon Richard started to remind me of the type of air you can get on a kite. After a few more bunny hops, I started feeling a little bit more comfortable. It was time to start trying some of those bigger airs. But despite not landing any of those jumps, I still had a great time out there. After being out on the water for about 45 minutes and starting to get sloppy with the kite, I knew it was time to call it a day. After making sure Jacob made it back up the beach from his unintentional downwinder, we packed up all of our gear and headed over to the hotel to rest up for the night. The next day, we wound up at a place called Grassy Point, a place I had never kited before in all my years of coming to Corpus Christi. With me being the first of my friends to get there, I was eager to get my kite in the air. I've ridden wakeboarding boots since 2001 when I started kiteboarding, and even on this day while I was getting in the water, somebody had some questions about my boots. So after a nice conversation of the differences between boots and straps, it was time to get on the water. Along with getting big airs and wake-style tricks, I love doing carves out on smooth water. However, after a number of years not doing those, it was going to take a little bit more practice than this to get them back. After a while, I got super comfortable on the kite, so I decided it was time to start getting back into my wake-style tricks. Except that didn't go according to plan. Why don't we watch that again? See, at this point, all I want to do is roll over on my back, let go of the kite, and just float there, letting all the pain from my face just slowly fade away. But if I do that, that could have some consequences. Plus, it's going to be a nightmare to go find the kite and wrap it all up and get back to shore. So instead, I'll just float on my face and wonder why I thought I could do that. What you don't see here is me noticing that despite the massive amount of pain in my face, I can also feel that I'm now missing a piece of one of my teeth, which I really didn't want to admit to myself. And just like any crash in wakeboarding and kiteboarding, the only way to get over it is to get back on the board. After that, I went out and threw a few more little jumps, but by then the wind started to change, and I ended up having to work the kite a lot more. So with that, I decided to end my session and brought it on in. Thanks for watching, everybody. Make sure you click one of the videos above to watch more. And if you like what you saw here today, hit that like button. And if you don't want to miss anything, hit that subscribe button. Till then, see you next time.